first, let's set this heat with Pedro Calado, our Brazilian competitor. He's going to be out there in the red jersey. Lenny, multi-bowler sport master, out there in the white jersey. Rusty Long in the yellow jersey. Nick Lamb in the blue jersey. Tom Lowe from Great Britain is going to be in the black jersey, and local surfer Jose Ramirez out there in the green jersey. So another great heat and a nice spread internationally here in heat number 3. Wait, let's go to hold that thought as we go to live action. Pedro Calado sets an edge and pulls into a grindy barrel and almost comes out of it with a spit. What a great effort for Calado. Last minute replacement here out of Brazil. Great ride. ISA world title. As we look at a replay, let's talk us through this with Pedro Calado.
Pedro Calado on his front side, right where we saw we kind of leaned a little too far over, manages to set his rail, and right there gets blown out. Really strong spit from that wave, sends him flying. Unfortunately, he doesn't come out of the barrel, but it wasn't a big wave, but it was a good way to get started. He didn't get hurt, so he's going to get back out there right away. Remember that big wave that he had at Jaws as we see live action.
Live action, yellow making the drop. That's Rusty Long, and he just gets completely enveloped by a giant whitewater, just blowing him away. But he did make the drop. Great effort, and some bravo by Rusty Long.
Him and Greg were standouts. As we see, this is the replay. Rusty Long just barely managing to lean on his back foot, holding the drop. Unfortunately, just a little bit too deep on the wave, isn't able to come around. But there we see a little bit of a late drop, a little bit of air gets stuck underneath his board. Does incredibly well to stick the drop, and once again there he is with our water safety. Yeah, it's awesome to see. I think drones have come a long way and actually changed the perception, as we see up and riding yellow.
Here we go, pulling in. That's Rusty Long in a big barrel and makes his way, makes a lot of progress through that barrel. And no exit, but he's going to get a score for 1, making the drop, 2, setting the edge, and 3, getting some travel time through that big Puerto Escondido tube.
Yeah, expect to get a good wave, and then before you know it, you can get the wave of a lifetime, and that's exactly what the surfers are waiting for.
Here's a replay of green. Jose.
Just a quick in and out for Jose Ramirez. He just wanted probably to get his feet in the wax.
Puerto Escondido. Now, with this set coming through, we're going to go to live action. Looks like we have someone paddling into it, and this is going to be Nick Lamb. On the backhand, actually, I'm going to take that back. That must have been black. The goofy foot, Tom Lowe pulling into to that wave. And like you said, challenging on the backhand. We're going to take another look at it, Kale.
Look where he's standing on his board, pulls in, manages to stay really low. Unfortunately, just a little bit too deep. Positioning here in Puerto Escondido Key, obviously he would have liked to be maybe about 10 feet, 15 feet out in front. You see him really low, back knee touching the board, just way behind the peak, backdooring a monster. Unfortunately, just a little bit too deep, but valiant effort from Tom. A couple weeks ago in Puerto, I pulled in, and as we see a little bit of live action out front.
Here we go, dropping in. This is going to be Lenny, and he gets under the lip. And it looks like that wave's just going to spin on out and big spit, but did a good job of managing that drop and getting right under the lip of that big barrel.
Kiteboards, surfboards, paddleboards. There you see Lenny dropping in, manages to pull in. You see the lip just slightly chandeliering, manages to get inside, but if that wave would have pitched out further, he would have definitely come out of that barrel. Unfortunately, he has to draw a higher line just to avoid getting hit by the lip. So that is definitely the biggest challenge, as we see up and riding.
This is our first view of Nick Lamb pulling into a barrel. He's got an opening. Can he find the exit? And barely not finding the exit there. Kale looks like he was on his way out, and a little chandelier ruined his chances of completing that ride. But I'm sure he's going to get scored for all the progress he made through that barrel.
But I don't think he was expecting for the wave to do this. As we see here, standing pretty far up on his board, really low, manages to make it out of that first section. Coming out of the second section, unfortunately, right there, it clips him. All that water, all that power compresses him and isn't able to come out. Beautiful view, another camera angle. Really deep, really open, and right there, just a little bit of a high line on that barrel, pinches and isn't able to come out. Definitely a good wave for Nick Lamb. He positioned himself really well on that wave. He was up in the Carmelita's corner. He had been waiting a long time for that wave. And as far as positioning goes and where he took off, that was perfect. He couldn't have done anything more on that wave.
With that 4.57, puts him in the lead, and here we go. Live action and a brutal wipeout for green. Jose Ramirez, our local surfer.
Jose Ramirez unfortunately just digs that outside rail, was trying to pull into the barrel. I think he noticed that the wave was running away from him, so he was just trying to make it out to safety. Probably right now in this competition, every single competitor is opting to surf with either an inflatable vest or one that already has the passes. We see a horrible wipeout there for Jose Ramirez's last wave, talking about not being able to engage his outside rail. Falls on his back, gets a brutal wipeout, but thankfully he's fine. He was on the jet ski, picking up his board on the beach right now, and soon to be back out in the lineup.
You know, talking about the vest, Lenny, who's one of our competitors out there in the white jersey, as we see a replay of Lenny. I'm going to get back to that thought as you talk us through this wave.
Lenny staying, oh, beautiful positioning on that wave. Very similar to the first wave he caught last year. Draws a high line and somehow a flyaway air floater attempt on the inside. But great positioning from Lenny. Look at how low he gets to his board. His right hand almost touching the lip line. Look at him, manages to extend and stay in the barrel. That is so difficult to do on a 9-foot board, and there, just a flyaway goodbye kiss on that wave. He was stoked. This is the first event of the year as we see a replay of Nick Lamb's last wave.
Oh my goodness, the jaws. The fierce jaws of Puerto Escondido just wrapping around Nick Lamb. Nick Lamb not hesitating at all, pulling into that barrel, in and out before finding an opening, and here we go. And it looks like soul arching, standing high and tall into that left-hander here at Puerto. It appears to me that there was Jose Ramirez. We're going to take another look at that, but that was a big, big wave.
Yeah, I think that was Jose Ramirez. We'll see. Potentially could have been Tom Lowe. Let's see, kind of checking to see the color of the board. That is Tom Lowe dropping in on his green board, like a green mango ripe falling out of a tree, pulling into a huge. Tom Lowe now gets a left. He had two right-handers, and look at the size of that wave, Kaipo. Beautiful positioning, trimming just a hair too deep. You can see the wave there kind of looks like it inhaled and exhaled. When the wave does that, it's really difficult to stay on your board inside the barrel.
Score just in for Lenny, a 6.27. Kai jumps into second place, an advancing situation, a shuffle placing as Nick Lamb, also his score drops. So new situation, Tom Lowe, Lenny, and Nick Lamb. Looks like they're going to be in semi-final number 2 with a late charge by both Lenny and Nick Lamb.
A shuffling of the pack in the last minutes. That's what we like to see. Left.
Well, there you go. The horn goes. Tom Lowe, Lenny, Nick Lamb, all advancing into semi-final number 2. We're going to see who joins them in semi-final number 2 as we get into Heat 4, the final heat in this round 1 of the Puerto Escondido Challenge.